Supa, if Upset is more elo than you, that means he is better?
Yes.
Okay.
Basically, Javi, there is like 30 jungle better than you.
No, even more maybe, eh?
Look at me. I'll go to Monkey.
I can flip someone.
No flash, no flash.
Taking Q-Buzz, and immediately they go in with the cease and desist as well! Oh, you just pull the trigger, and an MDK can only stand and watch on their fountain as G2 will take game 1.
Gotta love the charm of the MDK boys in the comp. Sadly, did not pay off for them, but the philosophy of if you're higher elo, then you're just better also works on the broadcast team. Sorry, Eragon.
Just not to get him.
Yeah, someone's got to take shots. I'm not going to be mean to MDK. That was a crushing game 1. So I'm going to be mean to Eragon.
He's not even here.
Eragon. He's not even here to defend himself.
He can fight back later.
He can fight back later. We'll figure it out later. In the meantime, guys, this was an incredibly one-sided game. In draft, I think we had a little bit of optimism. There were some things that excited us, but overall, this was incredible dominance from start to finish from G2.
It definitely felt strange to me looking at this draft because I see the Ezreal early pick and like, okay, cool. They want to try and slip the Ezreal in bot lane. It's a takeaway from Hansama, trying to get some control there. But as it started to unfold, then they start bringing in the Lulu and then sorry, I wanted to say Spyro, but it's not. Smolder at the end. And I think that's where it starts to drift away from me because it's like you don't really have a huge amount of control. The Lulu doesn't really feels like it fits. It's just kind of a cheese pick that comes through. There was so many question marks for me coming into this where it just didn't really make sense the way they opted in towards the end of the draft.
Now hold up, which pick did get a kill in the early game, Dagda?
That's what you want to base this entire game on?
Listen, there is not a lot of good things that went well in the early game for MDK, right? And I did think that bringing out something creative is the edge that MDK has. In the top side, you can argue that, oh, Myrwn, if you just played normal champions, maybe you'd be better. But honestly, let's be real, I don't think a normal champion would have fixed that anyway. I like that they're creative. They've had a lot of weeks to prepare something. But either way, yeah, it's still a stump.
I think I would have liked the Nico better here, to be honest.
I mean, I just wonder what they're trying to achieve in this draft, because they're drafting in a smaller Alistar bot lane, which is a very, very weak bot lane. They will get pushed in the first 10 minutes against the Kalista, and then you put up with a Maokai that really just wants to cover lanes, but you still end up in these river fights around mid that like just become so volatile, and I'm not sure if they actually want this, or if they just get pulled into G2's playstyle.
I do wonder if they maybe overestimated what the finals actually meant for G2 and thought they could get away with maybe a bit of greed in terms of scaling, thought G2 wouldn't punish. Because G2, while they made a lot of individual mistakes in that finals, Dylan highlighted in the interview with you earlier, GB, they also didn't really draft for early game. This game, that's a Kalista Rel bottom lane. Like, they're here to mess people up. And it was very clear early on. But as you said earlier, GB, like the one good part at least was Myrwn on the top side in that first dive where you did see, and it started to give a little bit of hope for MDK in terms of they can make these plays happen. There clearly is a vision here. It just didn't really transition past that at all.
I was so excited about it in the beginning. Literally last night, got back home from broadcast, booted off TFT, starts playing double up with my mate. He tells me, yo, you seen this new Korean OTP who plays Lulu top in Challenger? I go like, what? No, send me the link. I see the link. It's the same thing that Myrwn brings out today. I think I'm gonna have the best time of my life talking about this Lulu pick. That was the one highlight with the first spot you saw right there. That was the only thing I got to build. That was all that happened with the Lulu pick. So I never got further than that, but I was excited to see it.
One day though.
Yeah, one day that Lulu is gonna come out.
Yeah, but you really need to make the Lulu work in the lane, because on one side you have a Lulu that is cute and all, but she's going full AP. She doesn't have a lot of buffs for her team. But on the other side you have a Kennen that will flash in and ult 5 people. So I think if you want to make this Lulu work, you really have to make sure she's ahead and she's actually pushing her lead forward. Because I feel like she got the kill, but then she kind of stagnated because of all the chaos in the map, and she couldn't actually show what she's good at.
And I think credit to G2 though, Hansama was a monster this game, was set up with that Kalista, did take over, put up some incredible numbers. Now MDK on red side have the luxury again of counter pick, but when we look at a lot of those individual performances from G2 and the tools they draft for themselves, it's hard to know what MDK are actually going to be able to do in this game too, because game 1 didn't really show us much of anything.
Well, I like that the MDK went for like the Maokai and great Gage bot lane to actually be able to set up and play around it. I just want to see them go back to, hey, we want to fight fire with fire. Like, let's take something that can fight against the Kalista. Let's go for these aggressive plays on bot lane, because that's what I felt was missing here. Where, like, I liked the adaptation, but I wanted more firepower for Supa. If you come into this game and you go, hey, our read was G2 sucked in the early game and finals, let's punish that. I thought that would be the read from MDK, and that's the read I want to see them going with in game 2.
That's what I want. Are we all more action? More early game versus early game, more action? Okay, across the board. Casters, here at the various couches, we've decided we want more action in Game 2. You can tell us what you want. We'll see what they bring us in the Game 2 draft. Take it away, boys.
I'll be honest, after casting 4 games of relatively one-sided League of Legends this weekend, I'd just like a close contest. And more action in the early game.
Yeah, wouldn't be bad.
Them, yeah.
I mean, I think that Elyoya as a jungler knows how to make early action happen. We just need to see him be given the tools.
I mean,
really.
he did, right? Like that 3 camp into a top dive, that was pretty
exactly.
nice.
And then there was early action around the second Drake as well. It just didn't go in their favor. Right? You can have early action if it's not always the most beneficial for your team. But we're getting to Game 2.
Yeah.
Getting to draft 2.
I think they had a problem here. I think they really, really had a problem here with the Kalista because once they banned Ashe for themselves, they had no real answer. As I said, I was looking at their pool, and I feel like Supa just didn't have anything that works into Kalista and be able to mitigate the bot side. They ended up going Smolder on R5, which felt super underwhelming as well.
Well, the Kalista being taken away from Mad Lions shows the adaptation.
Yeah.
Same bans from G2 so far, though.
MF once again. Are they going to ban the Aurora? Come on, if any team plays
It's
it...
Caps and BB,
That's
man.
what I'm saying. Right, come on, G2. Give us one Aurora game. Fnatic and BDS didn't show us any yesterday. We've done a lot of prep, teams, okay? We want to talk a little bit about Aurora.
Caps and BB and Myrwn. Well, these 3 play... No, okay, well,
See,
it is what it is.
we all thought Aurora would be hot to go, but she's actually not to go this weekend, it seems. Ashe is the final ban from Outliers Koi, and it might be a Kennen B1. It did what it needed to do.
Yeah.
I guess in Game 1 it wasn't the most impactful, but in the end it didn't need to be.
Okay, no way we're running it back, right? He hovered Lulu there, but what I wanted last game was something like a Camille, where you could just full send post level 6 into the range champ and use your setup to potentially lock down the Kennen and find kills onto him, because Camille's really good at that, and we've seen Myrwn's Camille before. So I was really surprised they didn't lock that in or play towards the Lulu in general more. Now, double Mark's been locked in already. You have a double Myrwn mana composition coming in with the Corki and the Ezreal already building a poke composition, and it's lining up with a Maokai as well.
So, well, okay, fine, fair enough. They might just do Azir here, you know?
Yeah, I think they might.
Azir into
Why
Corki.
change?
Well, they can also do Lucian too if they want.
Potentially do Yone. I think Yone also works pretty well as a Corki, but I'm not sure if Caps plays it too much.
Oh, he does.
Yeah.
I didn't we see it? Was it in
We
their
haven't seen it in summer.
No, wasn't it in their first... I swear.
According to gol.gg, which is the site I use for most of my stats, it's not sponsored, just a friend of the show, he didn't play it in summer.
Oh, I like that. We never really see
Ooh.
Ori anymore, but it's really nice with Vi. Nice setup, you know, the ability to force plays alongside the dive.
She
I think it
got
works really
some
well.
small nerfs, and also the shift in the meta kind of pushed her out. The Morgana as an answer to Vi makes a lot of sense. The problem you now have if you're G2 is you've got a lot of single target damage. Charm and the Vi just can be heavily mitigated by the Morgana, right?
Yep.
I guess the counter argument is that they both have the threat of a pick potential, and a Charm can be thrown out a lot more casually than the Vi commitment can. So maybe you can use that to try and bait out the Black Shield. In any case, ultimately Mad Lions have a pretty solid comp in terms of range. They've got pretty good scaling. They've got, I mean, great pick potential with Morgana, that's for sure. Now they just need a little bit more utility in terms of how they actually start the fights. And things like Rel, Leona are going to be very valuable inside of them.
I think immediately with the Mikyx Poppy target ban, you're setting up for stuff like the Rel for Alvaro or a Rakan alongside that Ezreal. I think those are valuable options. You can see immediately the response to the Poppy setup ban is that Rel. A bunch of different hard engage options, anti-hard engage options in the Braum as well could be banned, and alongside the Leona. Lots of prior picks.
See where Mad Lions Koi go with their final ban. I wouldn't mind a Nautilus as well for G2. I know it's single target as well, but as you say, if you have multiple different single target CCs, it actually kind of negates the power of the Black Shield. Braum banned away by Mad Lions Koi. I wonder if they'll look for an Ornn in the top lane. We'll lose into the Kennen, but can still be powerful later on.
I think there's a dynamic here where you can pair Kai'Sa alongside the dive of Vi and have some kind of full send composition from G2, especially if they blind pick something that Kai'Sa can actually lane into on the side of Mad Lions Koi, because you imagine they're going to blind pick top lane here, right, because you already see.
The only minor concern I have with that is Morgana kind of welcomes relatively short range champs, right? So, you know, the Vi goes in, the Kennen goes in. Morgana ultimately can get a lot of potential value there. In any case, Leona, this is the type of frontline engage that we were very much expecting. The fact that G2 chose to ban away the Xayah does surprise me.
Yeah, what the flip?
Yeah.
Because Ezreal and Corki are picked, and Corki's the mid laner and Ezreal's the AD carry. Unless you're going to play something like Ezreal top or Xayah top,
I guess they
Corki top has been rising up in priority, I have to say. And it could have been
rising in priority from the 167th pick to the 166th pick. So.
But maybe that's the read, right? I think Kai'Sa could be great. I know there is a lot of, debate here with the Morgana Black Shield mitigating any kind of engage, but I do think with these kind of compositions, you overwhelm the Black Shield, right?
True.
You have so many threats that you just go in with everything, and I think that can work, so that's the angle G2 are going to take.
There's the Rakan alongside it, so it's more dive. It's more jump in.
Now, is Corki top? That's the question.
Is it Corki top into Kennen?
Camille could work. I do think that could be the case. Or you just pick a tank and just suffer.
Yeah, I was thinking Ornn because they banned away the Braum, right? It just gives you a little bit of that a more long-range engagement. Oh my god.
Corki top!
Yeah. Well, now we understand why they banned Xayah. Eragon with the reads. It looks like Myrwn has been cooking.
I've been watching a lot of Hell's Kitchen recently, and there was one episode where someone came in and put Rice Krispies on their scallops. And it was disgusting. And, like, I'll be honest, the draft in Game 1 from MDK felt like that degree of cooking. This is a step further, okay? This is Cocoa Puffs and Sugar Puffs and just entire breakfast on a steak.
The Nico top wasn't enough. We're going to keep going deeper.
Lulu top. Now we have Corki
top for Myrwn.
Vex mid, which does give you some disengage when people want to dive in because of that doom and gloom. You can fear people as they get closer, but it's a recipe that I'm not sure we'll see in any Michelin restaurants.
It's just one of those things where if MDK fall behind, I think it's so easy for G2 to snowball because their comp is just so squishy. Like, it's so easy for this. Like, sure, if you get to the late game, like, I think that a dive comp into both Vex and Morgana, it's hard to execute because they welcome that type of dive. But yeah, I think that if you start to fall behind, it can be very dangerous. And I think G2 have a lot of tools to set up for picks. Ahri Vi is a tried and true mid-jungle classic.
So definitely the story of this game is going to be if the dive from G2 with that Vi, with that Ahri, with the Kai'Sa is going to be enough to overwhelm the disengage of the Vex and the Morgana. Can they pilot that well enough to disengage the fights? Or will G2 overwhelm?
It's going to be a learning experience for all of us watching this game. I can't remember the last time we saw Corki top. Can't remember the last time we saw Vex. We're going to hand over to Trouble, who's going to have a quick interview about this draft, hopefully.
Thank you very much, Medic and Method. Thank you so much for joining me straight after the draft. You guys have been cooking, bringing back Vex, bringing back Corki. How do you expect those two champions to work against all this heavy dive that G2 has opted into?
We have Morgana to counter the heavy dive. Also, we have Leona, a lot of CC. And what we are looking is high mobility champions that can get out of it. And also, Vex is really good to follow up the engage, so we can also be more proactive this time.
There are many, many spells that also can counter the Black Shield from Morgana. Are you worried about this at all? What is the job of Morgana in this game?
Staying close to the carries when Bai wants to engage, and also follow up to Leona engage, or Vex engage in case. And I expect we control better the position on the flanks, so Kennen cannot access to the backline.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Best of luck. Back to you guys.
Great to hear about the strategy that is going to be enacted by MDK this game. We'll see if it can work out. But before we get into the game, I have to ask you guys a very serious question. Are you a master of the Rift? Do you never miss a game? Santander's here to reward you. Head over to santandergaming.com to win weekly and monthly rewards like Hextech chests and skins. This week's code is Arcane10.
Now, to get into what Malzat was just saying, that the mobility was something that they're looking to try and leverage, right? Corki and Ezreal, the fact that they are, well, they have their dashes available to them on top of the potential flash. In theory, you can also itemize. We haven't really seen it much from Corki's these days, but there's still the ability to go for that Hex Drinker as a way to mitigate some of the magic damage burst. But yeah, he's basically saying that, like, we welcome the dive. We have the Vex, we have the Morgana to mitigate it. And already with an invade coming out from MDK.
Ezreal level 1's really strong here. Elyoya abusing the level 1 of the Vi by invading early onto the Raptors, and I think MDK should just win this. They have Ezreal passive, which is obscenely broken. So it looks like it's going to be conceded by G2 as well. And mid-pro, I think, is going to the way of Vex as well.
Yeah, it looks like Fresskowy does have the push there. I had a quick Google. 2 Corki top games this year, one in the LCK, one in the LPL, both lost.
And one in my solo queue games.
One in your solo queue games. The last time we saw it in the LEC was back in 2022 from Broken Blade against XL. We also saw it from FLICKR back in 2019, both of them as matchups into the Gangplank top.
That makes sense. For the barrel contest, that sounds pretty good. My only concern here is that whilst you're getting Prio versus the Kennen at the moment, feel like the outrange is there for the Kennen later on. Wow, Voltaire trades down in bot side. Going to go the way of MDK. Like we said before, the Ezreal Leona is a super strong laning bot side. Prior for Myrwn as well, going to lead into a deep ward onto potential respawn camps.
Myrwn is proccing the fleet footwork there to get a bit of a heal, gain some information. He will spot out Yike. Ultimately though, smart decision making from Elyoya, the way in which he leveraged the bot lane 2v2 strength and the fast clear speed of Morgana to both steal away the Raptors and start the red buff. Yike doesn't really have many counterplay options because mid is currently getting pushed in, top is in the same situation, and MDK have pushing lanes across the board.
Yeah, it's triple lane prior like you're saying, and that's really problematic for Vyze because you really want to farm to get to that level 6 without being attacked, and the way that you can attack jungle as Elyoya here is you just push Vi out here. I mean, it depends. Is he going to secure it with his smite?
Oh! 7 HP secured by Elyoya.
That's going to be a double scuttle.
I mean, it's going to be more than that. He's already at 24 CS to only 16. 3 camps ahead. Yike off his way up towards top side to cover if Elyoya just immediately went for the gank on Broken Blade. But Elyoya has 3 more camps to clear and that bot scuttle, as you say, Vedi.
This mid wave is in a really nice spot for Fresskowy as well. Caps was taking a lot of unfavorable trades, and credit to Fresskowy, so far in the laning phase, both games he's been finding really nice early advantages against Caps, building very small CS leads, and now his wave state is in a spot where Alvaro can even look for a potential gank. Caps is suspicious of it though. He's got his team here to cover him, to help him push out that wave, and in very tried and true fashion, G2 making sure that their star mid laner is well taken care of.
I think if Fresskowy here just sits in the wave, it's pretty hard to land the charm, and then any following setup just doesn't exist as well. Alvaro, smart, whilst Elyoya gets the power farm, and time invested for G2 whilst none invested for MDK.
Broken Blade having to respect the fact that Elyoya is on the top side. Doesn't mean that second Scuttle Crab is going to be very delayed. Expect to see Yike going there after his Razor Beaks as it was just pinged out. Super dashes away with the Arcane Shift. Mikyx hits a Gleaming Quill and will heal up Hans Summer as it looks like they're going to reset after getting that wave shoved in. Hans Summer, I mean, don't know he's hit. Go in with the Oracles, stun onto Hans. Guardian coming out from Mickey though means that Alvaro might be a little bit overextended as Yike's coming around the side. Ignite ticking on him. Alvaro does still have the flash, but Yike can follow. Ooh. Flashes, super dashes in front of it and almost paid for it with his life. But in the end survives. Great play from the AD from MDK.
The Vi E onto Alvaro, almost connects onto Supa and takes him down, but you know, the HP bars just quite aren't there. Nice attempt from Yike onto the gank.
The impressive thing was Yike actually predicted Alvaro's flash. And if it wasn't for the fact that Supa got in the way, that likely would have been a kill. But ultimately, they are able to limp away. No deaths though. MDK hold on to a very small gold lead that they've been able to build with the small jungle advantage that Elyoya continues to find. This HP is very low though.
Yeah, Hans Summer looking for that plasma stack, goes in with the Zenith Blade, but the cleanse away from Hans Summer should be enough to take down Alvaro. Now Super in a 1v2, Hans Summer flashes! The Gleaming Quill was enough healing to keep Hans alive, and it's a 2-for-0 in the bot lane for G2.
It's just an overstay from MDK. They wanted to push out that wave. They assumed that G2's bot lane had gone back to base, but they had the health advantage. So they're able to punish, and they find themselves 2 kills.
Hans, I think he leveled up there, gaining a bit of HP as well versus the burst of Supa there. I might have been wrong if we take a look at the replay. It could have been a cookie as well. But yeah, that was so damn close. I thought the Leona W alongside the Aftershock would have kept Alvaro alive long enough to the point where Supa could have gotten at least 1. The 2v2 once again, really close here. I wonder if it was a level. Yeah, so he's
hiding right now. I think he was level 4, went to level 5. I was wondering if it was the Gleaming Quill or the level up. Let's have a look as Hans Summer trades. I mean, Alvaro dies to the plasma relatively quickly through the cleanse. And does he level up here? No, it's the Gleaming Quill, and then he levels up afterwards. So.
Damn, that was very close. I mean, credit to Hans Summer, he sidestepped a number of those Ezreal Qs. I don't actually think a single one landed in that small skirmish, and that was a lot of damage potentially lost. In any case, kind of look across the board. The top side of the map still going very favorably for MDK. Plates being secured in top lane. A farm advantage in mid, a very significant one even. Fresskowy, I don't think he's in too much danger here.
Didn't have the Doom and Gloom up, so Mickey was a little bit safer in jumping in. You see that big red bar under the Vex's mana bar? That's when she has a passive up. And when she does that, uses a spell, it fears away her opponents that are hit by the spell. So Rakan does really struggle with dealing with the Vex as the game goes on, as we see Alvaro, Elyoya, and Fresskowy stepping into this bot side jungle.
And I think this is really where MDK shines. It's when they have a pairing of a jungle and support who facilitate each other really well. And in this case, they have lots of CC-defined picks together. TX could be overstepping here, but I think because of Fresskowy being pushed in, there shouldn't be any kind of play here. But this is exactly what MDK love to do. This is their identity. They move around the map with this duo and find picks. In this game, they just hover mid, right? Because the only play potentially is the Via onto the Vex, chain CCing with the Rakan and the Ahri, and they mitigated that really well.
MDK are going to be able to get 3 Grubs and a Drake here. Zenith played in, Alvaro after the Hex Flash, but Mikyx able to grand entrance his way to safety. MDK, control of the neutrals early doors. Gold lead slightly in G2's favor because of that double kill on the bot side.
They're going to be secured for Myrwn on the top side as well. Ultimately, though, I think MDK should be pretty happy with that objective control. It was just a 2v2 blunder in the bot side. They didn't respect the possibility that Hansama would stick around, and that's cost them some few kills. But in the grand scheme of things, MDK is still in a pretty solid spot. So as we enter, or get closer to the mid-game, I should say, those first item spikes, that's where things are going to get pretty interesting. G2, they were able to blow the game open earlier once they hit these level 6s in game 1. And now that all those ultimates are available, we'll see if they can find that opportunity once again.
I will say, Kalista Rakan, you know, it's not that strong of a bot lane compared to Ezreal Leona, so it is quite a surprising 2v2 death. I would have fully expected Supa and Alvaro to be winning this harder. And transitioning that into Grubs, it's a nice game state G2 already have, right? They can definitely play for these to contest the Grubs to deny 6.
Cap's getting shoved out in the mid lane. See Yike looking for the Vault Breaker, doesn't go in the end. Mikyx coming across from the side as well, and G2 once again just trying to coddle Caps a little bit in the early game to get him towards that late game position on the Ahri. Elyoya and Alvaro teaming up again. We didn't see this that much in game 1 here, seeing it a lot more in game 2. They feel like they have the impetus to go in with the Zenith Blade. Elyoya looking for the smite, lands it, and the follow-up onto Yike is enough. No escape for him, he's down. Alvaro takes the kill. Meanwhile in the bot lane, Hansama's dived in with the Killer Instinct, the Ignite ticking, Mikyx dying! It just needed one more auto G2, but MDK even out the score.
I'm kind of lost for words as to what just happened. Really great punish from MDK. They're looking to keep this going.
Broken Blade has to flash away from Alvaro, who was going to hit that Zenith Blade. Fox seeing the wave now as Myrwn winning out these trades in topside. 760 gold lead for him now. Grubs up in 45 seconds. MDK have control of the top side of the map, and Supa. Oh, if that Akathian Rain had been a little bit more isolated, Supa would have paid the ultimate price for pushing the wave.
Yeah, but the chain CC, right? Okay, this is actually the bot lane play. As I don't think we saw this one. Oh no, this was the dive, right? So I think Hans could have just walked up an auto one more extra time, but he thought the Ignite was going to finish. He just doesn't go for it.
To be fair, if he stayed for that extra Ignite, that could have been a double too.
Yeah.
He did have flash.
I think he could have gone for it.
Does he? No, he doesn't.
It looked like he had flash when we pressed tab. Oh, it's tab. It's the player's point of view. So obviously he has flash on that, doesn't it? Because it was Supa's point of view.
Yes.
So many spectator modes. Doesn't have flash now, and now he's about to come back off cooldown. Supa stayed around for a while, and yet, as you say, likely to die here. Caps takes it, Mikyx tanks the tower, and G2 will finally put that Ezreal in the dirt.
That was an awkward situation where both Hans and Supa just kept sticking around.
Forward here. Yike missed the Vault Breaker. Alvaro just dodged to the side of it. The Charm coming out as well. Alvaro does have the Solar Flare, but there's 4 members of G2 surrounding him. Solar Flare comes out. TP as well invested.
He doesn't die.
By MDK. He doesn't die, as you say, but Fresskowy did have to TP down to make sure that Alvaro was safe enough.
So now they have Fresskowy down in bot side catching the waves, which isn't a disaster. TPing down bot, as well as securing Grubs and opening through mid if you're the Ezreal to catch those waves too. Kennen, BB, is going to potentially contest these Grubs. I wonder if he could potentially steal one away.
No passive on Fresskowy. They're going to look for him. Mikyx stepped out early. Fresskowy going in, has that Shadow Surge, but can't land it now with Caps TPing in as well. Fresskowy is surrounded by G2 and doesn't really have anywhere to go. Flashes away from the Charm, but the Cease and Desist will follow him. He finds one so far. Shadow Surge dodged by Mikyx. Now Caps trying to trade back in, but Fresskowy has survived for a long time in this battle. Mikyx dashes forward, Gleaming Quill hits, as does the Charm. In the end, G2 make it a 1-for-1.
I mean, Fresskowy makes the best out of a bad situation. Caps TPs, they think with the numbers advantage, they can find a big pick. But while all that was happening, look at the top side of the map. MDK is getting a full tower in mid lane, more plates are being secured. G2 are kind of scrambling around the map right now. A lot of individual errors are just being capitalized on by MDK. And it's kind of resulting in MDK being able to find a pretty healthy lead.
Yeah, Broken Blade really taking a beating there. I think Myrwn made a really smart decision not to take the tower immediately, but rather let the tower stay up and leave the minions to die to the tower. So Broken Blade just had to sit around and wait for the waves to die. You had Elyoya shadowing as well, which meant that he couldn't walk up and farm.
Alvaro just trying to be a nuisance here. Wasn't really going to get much out of it other than delaying Caps' back. And I have to say, MDK, I must apologize. I wasn't familiar with your cooking style, but so far, this gourmet that you've laid out for us is working well.
The Vex, I think, has had so much work. I feel like Rakan is scared to dash forward, and all the dashing champs are just struggling.
Cleanse away from Hans Sama. Dark Binding eaten by Mikyx. True Shot Barrage coming out as well. The Soul Shackles almost connect on Mikyx. He's able to dodge away just at the right moment. Yike now the next target. He's taken out by Supa. Another Dark Binding lands, and under the tower, Hans Sama is sent packing. Caps is going to Spirit Rush forward here, but right into the face of Elyoya. Flash away. Caps dashes back across the wall.
A nice little skirmish from MDK where they leverage numbers advantage to find 2 quick kills. They set themselves up nicely to secure the Dragon and this mid tower. Corki being involved in the game, really accelerating something that Finn wanted to see them do more this time around, and MDK have done a great job. They know that G2 have put this priority on trying to attack the bot side of the map. The bot side of the map has done a good job of weathering that storm, and ultimately that means that Myrwn has been snowballing on the top side, a 1.9k lead for him. This Morgana has been power farming like a menace, and it's a 1.1k gold lead. And now let's look back at how this play unfolded.
So I think the engage comes down here onto Handsome, and there's just so much chain CC. After this death, Yike goes 0, 3, and 1. And it's just Rakan. Rakan can't do anything. He has to get away. Handsome can only disengage with his ultimate, and Yike just cannot move. The damage is so much from Myrwn as well.
Obviously, we see Hans Sama getting caught up underneath the tower right at the end, but I feel like Yike was predicting the Black Shield to fall off a moment before it did. He went back in with the Bolt Breaker, and then the knockup was just blocked because the Black Shield still stood there. And MDK playing well around that cooldown.
Look at those plates, 1,500 gold. 12 out of the 15 plates from MDK. And I think this is something that they failed to do in the previous game. They had 2 pushing lanes in game 1, and then they tried to overforce fights, and ultimately they cost themselves any control over the early game. This time around, they had 3 pushing lanes, and look what they've been able to find off the back of it. It does help that G2 has made misplays this game as well individually, but MDK, they're taking advantage of that. They're moving around the map. They're now setting their sights on the bottom outer tower. They have numbers. G2's here to answer, but they are still a man down.
Scryer's Bloom spotted out MDK as they were looking to set up that play, and I think because of it, they decided to back away. Weren't sure who was reinforcing Caps in at the bottom lane. They probably also saw Yike as he came out of the bush. Alvaro here can trade with Mikyx, but it's more to be a nuisance than anything else. Just try and gain control of as much of the river as possible. Still a while before the next Drake. Yike dashing forward with the Bolt Breaker. G2 looking for something here. You can see Supa starting to react. Charm goes down. Quickness in as well as Mikyx looks for the backline. Double TP invested. Cease and desist into the slicing Maelstrom. And Alvaro and Elyoya are already gone. Supa next up. Hans Sama dashing in, but the Shadow Surge will chase him down. Myrwn's fallen, and now it's all on that Shadow Surge. What can you do, Fresskowy? How much damage can you put down? You get a reset when you get the kill. In the end, MDK won't look for more, it seems. Yike, Caps, and Broken Blade still standing.
So the lack of exhaust really biting MDK there onto the Kennen ult coming through. And I think the crucial thing was Ahri, Caps on this Ahri, managing to get away from the chain CC of Alvaro, ending up with the best case scenario for G2 in my opinion. Managed to find a T5 win after being down so much gold.
A hectic set of affairs. We look back at this exchange and note the numbers. We see Fresskowy still sitting in mid lane, sorry, Supa in mid lane, looking to rotate down. The engage comes out in a 4v3. So the ultimate looks promising from the Ezreal, but the pick has already come through. The Morgana drops, doesn't really get much value out of the ultimate. But now G2's kind of out of fuel. They've used everything that they can, and while they do get that follow pick onto Myrwn, the fact that the ultimate connects from Fresskowy gives him the resets and the ability to start chasing. So well played from the mid AD from MDK to at the very least get something back, because that fight could have been a lot more disastrous than it initially was. But MDK, again, you really have to ask the question, do we need to take this fight? Similar to game 1, they overforced a fight that they didn't need to take, and this is another situation where I don't really think that they were fighting over anything. Their map state was good, they had a healthy lead, they could have just conceded bot tower, maybe look for pressure mids, but at least now they're back out onto the map, they're leveraging the pressure on the top side, they have good control, and they're securing the Herald.
They know Broken Blade's in the bot lane as well. It has no TP, just used it, so they know they have a numbers advantage here. You can use those 6 scrubs, get the Rift Herald, and look to secure a tier 2 somewhere else on the map. Broken Blade will have some time with the tier 2 in that bot lane, but I mean, although Kennen can take towers, not the quickest at it. It's Myrwn. Trinity Force complete. He goes for more. Dash away from Caps with that Spirit Rush.
I mean, the thing is with G2's composition, right, is it's full send. You have to engage and find these angles through the Black Shield, through the Vex, and if you don't find them, you're just going to automatically lose by default. So it's on G2 here to find these engages with these flanks, potentially with a Kennen flank or something like this.
Well, we talked about in the draft, right, that if this MDK composition falls behind, it's going to be very difficult for them to really find avenues, but they haven't. They've leveraged the strength of their laners and they've put themselves in a good spot, and now they're the ones putting constant pressure down onto G2, ultimately trying to play the map as much as possible and not give them that ability to find that shotgun engage.
2 more tier 2s to MDK. Caps getting a chunk of his HP as well. Broken Blade's going to stay around and put some pressure on the inhibitor tower. MDK invested all of their resources in taking these 2 tier 2s and the jungle away. Broken Blade has had a lot of time with his inhib tower though. Shadow Surge a possibility from Fresskowy. He might look for the chase immediately. The rocket belt away from Broken Blade means the inhibitor tower does fall. G2 finds something in the bot lane to answer the pressure that MDK have put on the rest of the map.
Broken Blade going to pocket the tier 3 gold. Very nice for the upcoming teamfight at this dragon. But I will say I'm scared, because that is a pre-double Myrwn mana spike for the Corki and the Ezreal, and that fight, they were just absolutely dominating in terms of damage already. So coming into this next fight, if they have them completed, it's going to be incredibly brutal with that poke. We already saw it being leveraged there.
Ultimately, I think this Kennen is going to be the difference maker. How much impact can Broken Blade have? I think that just because of how massive the ultimate from Kennen is, it can always be a big game changer, and execution on the fight is going to be crucial.
Yeah, and the thing is, right, you have no exhaust versus the Kennen as well. You've opted into Ignite, which generally says we're going to get a big lane lead and make up for the lack of exhaust as the game goes on. They don't get the lane lead, and now they just have no exhaust for Kennen in a full dive composition. So I'm a little bit worried.
Well, the top side has the lane lead at the very
Okay,
least.
sure.
Super caught out, has no flash. Cease and desist to follow up. They're looking for more CC here. Elyoya puts Dark Binding back down. Bolt Breaker in, but the Black Shield enough to keep Super safe from the knockup. Yike flashes the wall. Alvaro chases him. Killer Instincted by Hansama. And now MDK are all at arrears. Elyoya getting chased out. Caps going forward with the Spirit Rush. Needs the charm. Hits it. A double so far for Hansama in the fight. Alvaro trying to Zenith play it out, but I'm not sure the escape can be anything but a flash across the wall. He manages to escape in the end. Shadow Surge hits only Hansama. G2 find 2 in the top side.
And we heard it in the interview. They have to play together.
Scowy can use his passive to knock Mikyx back. I think he was still dead anyway. That's 3. Baron's up in 7 seconds time. Have G2 just done it again?
I think it's too ambitious to go for the Baron, but maybe I'm wrong. They're going to start this one off regardless. A single pick is going to cost MDK the lead that they've worked so hard to build.
Myrwn has to be the hero here with the Corki poke. Yeah, going to push him off. Those rockets are going to be too much there.
Close one there. Good job by Myrwn to stall the Baron. It's going to be another tower for G2, but this resilience from G2 is something that you can never afford to underestimate. They're going to keep trying to force picks. They're going to be looking for plays. Remember how kind of out of the game Yike really has been, but he was the one to find that pick onto Supa to capitalize on this small positional mistake. The good news for MDK is they're setting themselves up for Soul Point, and G2, they're not going to be able to respond.
Quite interesting right now what BB is doing right here. He was waiting in the bush just in case anyone came to defend the tier 1 turret, whether they're trying to cross map, and then maybe make a pick onto them going forward, because he has no TP, right? They're opting to give this dragon up for sure, no TP flank down in bot side, and they're giving up Soul Point for some tier 3 gold, so tier 1 gold.
Caps 4-0-3 on the Ari, has confidence in himself. That's a 10-stack Medjais you see in his inventory. He can continue to remain unkilled and find a few kills and assists himself. That will scale, obviously, incredibly fast, and they might look for Fresskowy on the bottom side. Elyoya's walking away from him. There's the charm, and there's another. An assist at least for Caps, make it 12 stacks.
The last time Fresskowy was in a side lane, he was able to at least trade 1-for-1 this time around, though. You can't afford to be making these mistakes. MDK, we've seen so many good things from you this game. You can't afford to blunder now.
And we heard from Melzer, right? You have to play together with this composition. The carries need to be next to Morgana so you can flex the Black Shield and make it so your carries cannot be CC'd. And then the DPS comes through and the engage is botched for G2. But by now, you know, it's not so great. Yike manages to flash nicely over this wall and separates, and Hansama flies in, finishing off the kill. And it's just an MDK loss because they're so disconnected.
I mean, credit to Mikyx utilizing that pocket of vision to catch Supa out of position. And it's, I mean, you have to credit G2 for it. Like, I know that the perspective is always going to be MDK is throwing this game, but it's these small plays by Mikyx. We saw it in game 1 with his flash insta-stun on the Rel onto, I believe it was Fresskowy on the Ezreal, or actually it was on Supa again. I think that he's actually just decided that Supa is his target this game, and he's just going to try and shut him down and catch him as often as he can.
And you look at the gold swing from it, you only, like at the top of the scoreboard, only 800 gold between the two teams, but Elyoya was 1,000 gold ahead of Yike. Now it's only 200. Mid was in Fresskowy's favor, now Caps is 500 gold ahead. And as much as you say, it's not all MDK's mistakes, Vedi, they have a track record of this. They're the only team to have beaten BDS 3-0 in a 2-game series and lost the series 2-0. They were 10,000 gold ahead at times, and they were I say they were able to lose. They ended up losing those games. So yes, credit to G2. Their mid game is something they've worked on a lot this year, but also you have to look at how teams against G2 are being caught out in these positions.
Yeah, it's always a throw and a catch, right?
I think we still give credit to G2, right? They're still doing a very good job, but
I want to see kind of MDK refocus now. They haven't thrown this game away completely. They've been caught off guard. They've lost a little bit of control, and we can see in terms of the itemization, G2 are starting to find small edges. In particular, mid lane Caps is getting very close to that death cap, but ultimately they're at soul point. They're in a good position. The Baron still available. MDK just need to slow the game down, wait for a few more items, and look for a good fight.
So in terms of MDK here in the last 2 minutes, they definitely were fishing for something on those Myrwn mana completions. You could see them really posturing. Fresskowy actually dropped a bunch of waves down bot side to potentially look for a fight around that Nash.
Elyoya jumped on, no time for the black shield, and Elyoya's down. The charm coming out as well as Supa's locked up. Solar Flare on the backline, Fear onto Mikyx, but he's still half HP, and with the TP coming in, Mikyx going back forward for Supa once again. Broken Blade TP's in, Caps has a teleport of his own. We'll see if MDK overstep, because there's that ward just above where Alvaro is if Caps wants to TP in behind.
It's that vicious Baron. You've got to remember that a lot of poke is still available for MDK. Corki, Ezreal.
It's a mega Blasko, and the one thing the Chemtech Rift does for us, Vedius, is give the Kennen the flank position. Potential. Caps looking for the charm, Kennen goes in, he's speared immediately, but the dive into the backline, Myrwn able to escape. There's one, he's looking to make it two. It's two from Myrwn, and G2 are now all hailing the retreat. MDK bite them off with the Baron.
Fresskowy with the sick fear out of the Blast Clone, stopping the engage, and then G2, they just don't have the tools to dive where they thought they would get another member with that Kennen ult into the backline. But it just wasn't enough because he wasn't there. Insane read by Fresskowy.
It was a really nice initial pick from Mikyx and Yike to lock down Elyoya and potentially convert it into a Baron, but it was always going to be a dangerous engage, and G2 knew that, so they wanted to use the Baron to turn and fight, but Fresskowy found the angle. Really good interrupt onto the Kennen, mitigated so much of G2's damage, and they're able to find a winning fight.
Caps is like me at a birthday party when I've had one too many, and I'm playing Jenga. The stack's gone. Just down to 2 on the Medjay now, as MDK gain control around the Baron. Drake up in 45 seconds. Soul for MDK if they can secure it, but I think a Baron is slightly more important than a Chemtech Soul. G2 still have flashes on Caps and Broken Blade. Mad Lions have them pretty much across the board. See if G2 can find an avenue to approach, because the previous fight, it was them catching Elyoya. I don't think MDK are going to allow them to get that close again. Oh, flash forward from Alvaro, looking for that shield of Daybreak. Dark Binder coming out as well. Broken Blade goes in with the blast of slicing Maelstrom. Is the follow-up there? A killer instinct! And it's a supernova of damage from G2. Caps diving forward, they'll find another fight. Still fighting against 2 here as Myrwn falls as well. I said they wouldn't get close enough, but MDK delivered them on a golden platter.
I mean, they tried to force a fight way too hard. Broken Blade this time could find the angle, and with a monstrous Maelstrom, he's able to eviscerate MDK. They concede the Dragon. G2, they set their sights on the Baron, but I think that's a little too ambitious.
I mean, take a look here. I think the carries were a little bit split. You could see, you know, you've got the 3-man of Alvaro, Elyoya, and Fresskowy going in, but the carries aren't there to do damage. Your AD carries. So you should get absolutely wombo comboed without any DPS to back you up. The dive comes through, and it's just an excellent angle from BB.
I mean, he did his job. Even if he dies at this point, it doesn't matter. The follow-up to round things out with Mikyx and Hansama is just able to dish out the damage. Like, you can see a lot of return damage is still done. G2 blinking health bars. But it's a one fight and a deserved smile for Broken Blade.
But I think the big thing is they didn't manage to connect any of the poke that they have with this double Myrwn mana, with the poke from the Ezreal and the Corki specifically.
How crazy is it that Corki just Kennen in that fight?
He wasn't even there.
Myrwn doing his best in this game, but ultimately MDK not finding the fights that they want.
But I think that's also, when you re-look at the fight, is why it was so important that Caps flash charm Myrwn after the initial engage. It's why it's so important Mikyx re-engaged with the grand entrance to CC Myrwn while they were getting those last dregs of health off Elyoya, off Fresskowy, because then it gave them time to re-engage in Myrwn, where it's actually a 5v2 rather than Myrwn having the time to open up.
Where is Yike going here? Is he finding some kind of long con flank or cheesing in the bush?
So they do this from time to time, and often it's a push cheese. So he will wait there for a while. It's like, well, there's nothing else on the map. Broken Blade's pushing bot. He's going to have the TP up.
Yeah.
If Myrwn steps too far forward, we'll see someone rotate from mid. They'll try and catch the wave, and then Myrwn might be overextended.
They have Kai'Sa ult to follow up on the Vi engage. If Myrwn manages to overextend here, catching them off guard before the Black Shield comes down could be great.
Like, she's going to wait there, but MDK wise to the threat, reacting with 3. Caps catches the wave. Alvaro and Elyoya were seen on that ward as they cleared it out.
You know, it's I've had coaches explain this to me before, and it's not exclusive to G2, but teams will often test you. And this is a great example of like, oh, are you alone in a side lane, or do you have proper support? And MDK showcasing, no, we have the proper support, we're doing all the correct steps. And as you rightly said, it's not really much lost. It's very much just like a small, like, hey, you're supposed to do these steps here, and if you skip on them, that means that you're going to get caught.
And that's why he's staying around even after MDK did the first few steps correctly, because if one person backs by themselves, then Yike can catch them out. If one person now is like, okay, we've cleared it, that's okay, Yike can still catch them out. You might look like a waste of time.
Look, this is a great example. MDK now testing G2.
Yep. Like, Caps, you overextend by yourself. He is a little bit. Alvaro going for the Solar Flash, Spirit Rush away, and that's the safety that you have in the RE, of course.
Yeah, I don't think that was ever a G2 play. The entire time I was looking, are there any TP wards for Kennen? So if a fight broke out that was decently long, there was no way that BB was actually going to be able to take part, because there are no wards, outside of maybe one in the pit that Mikyx just placed, so that wasn't even there at the time. So I'm kind of glad that G2 didn't go for that, because that could have been a massive throw. MDK, though, good shadowing towards Fresskowy, Myrwn, rather.
The game kind of returns to a neutral state. Both teams sort of fishing for picks, but nothing really going to come off the back of it. The reel's still in the sea, but we're kind of waiting for that big catch as we get closer to the soul point once more. Of course, Dragon is an objective you have to be cautious about, but both these teams are going to try and get as much gold as they can. You can see in particular Supa wanting to try and complete his 3rd item. Deathcap very close for Fresskowy. See if he's able to secure it before the next Dragon fight. Has the top wave. You can see how suspicious he is. Fresskowy isn't comfortable here. He ideally wants his team to come help him, but... Look
at those deep wards down in bot side as well. Those bot lane deep wards, I'm looking at, it would be a classic for G2 to just full send TP down bot, pick up Myrwn, and transition that into Baron, but it doesn't look like they opt for it. They do this so often.
Yeah, they really do. It's something we've seen even from the olden days of G2, and it's like perks that would Shadow Wonder in a side lane, and they'd look to try and catch someone who was pushing out. For the moment, though, MDK wise to the danger, aren't overextending, and it's always difficult to get that TP flank. There we go. He called it. Eragon. Myrwn will have the Valkyrie, and Broken Blade only has half his health left. Counter TP coming out as G2 trying to run through the river to react. Broken Blade pops the slicing mountain, the charm on Fresskowy as he came out of the TP was perfect, but Myrwn's able to trade one back so far. Caps trying to get away, Myrwn need another order, the True Chop Barrage going wide, the Rocket doing the same. Meanwhile on the top side, Alvaro goes in with the Solar Flare, Elyoya trying to get away, but he's already burned the Black Shield, and he's caught up in the cease and desist, and now G2 have got them in their claws. They found them in the pincer movement. Supa and Myrwn have a lot of damage between them, though. Myrwn already level 18, Yike able to dodge away from the Phosphorus Bomb, but it's just an auto from Myrwn, enough to take him low. The Battle Dance not quite able to connect. And Myrwn and Supa are doing everything they can to keep MDK in this game.
Caps is still around, but he doesn't have the HP to fight. What should have been a disastrous situation for MDK ends up pretty good. As Supa gets himself a final kill, ticks over to level 16. Supa and Myrwn, the Corki and the Ezreal, reaching those points in the game where they can single-handedly carry. Keep MDK in this game.
Myrwn doubling down on his range. Top laners that you call cheesy, he calls them good, and now a TP comes through.
Oh God, Broken Blade, you're right in the middle of the meat grinder. That TP was suboptimal.
Yes, it was, and it was an easy kill for MDK. They've been able to close the gold gap. I mean, it's been pretty close, a back and forth consistently throughout this game. But now the Salt is secured, and now maybe even a Baron on the cards.
No TPs available for the carries. Caps and BB, even if they respawn, not going to be able to be there. I think this double AD carry is going to shred this Nash.
I think it's just gone, really. Even if you're G2, do you even fight it? As you say, Broken Blade 30 seconds away, Caps only spawning now. Maybe you can look for a steal, but whoever goes in there, that's a one-way ticket. You're not getting out of the pit.
MDK, their composition, showcasing the strength of it. Once it reaches that late game point, I will say that that last fight, is that really how they want their comp to optimize? Probably not. It works though, you know, we make it work. And now with the Baron buff, they're in a prime position to secure this. When we look back at this play, and the collapse initially from G2 looked very promising.
I just want to, like, Myrwn did so well here. Look at the movement onto the Rakan W later on, especially as well. Right now, Caps gets quite fortunate. His W move speed gets him away from the skirmish. You think the fight is really losing for MDK because of all the winning team fights across the board, but now the two carries are still alive. G2 have a really, there's a problem here. They have to kind of gap close without Vi ultimate, so they have to find a way onto Corki, who has a dash. They bring out the dash with the Vi Q, and then rely on Rakan to go on that. But look at the movement. Yeah. It's so clean, hugging the wall for Myrwn.
And yeah, I mean, that's the range difference that we really saw there, right? Corki and Ezreal into the Kai'Sa. She needs that small bit of setup to be able to close that gap, as you're highlighting, Eragon, and she trusted the Rakan to be able to land the W, but it wasn't enough. And then to round things out, the flash commit from Supa. Now, you could argue he doesn't have flash for the next fight, but ultimately, with the Baron buff, MDK have set their sights now on the base of G2. And they're looking to equalize this series.
Yeah, when TPing in, G2 trying to find a way, find a flank perhaps, but MDK once again doing their due diligence. They've warded their flanks. It's going to be hard for Broken Blade to get in. He does have the flash wall breaker from Yike back to the safety of the tower, but Caps already takes half his HP. Broken Blade will keep Fresskowy at bay, takes half of his, but MDK have already broken the inhibitor line and broken the inhibitor alongside it. Double cannon minions pushing in, G2 trying to clear the wave, but they don't have too much wave play. Fresskowy forced away, Broken Blade has the flash, and the engage coming out from G2. Super stunned up, Shadow Surge blocked with the Zonyas, but a dive onto the backline from Hansama is purely a dive into death. Fresskowy fears him immediately when he lands, and MDK find 4 in the fight. The Nexus towers in their eyes, and they'll even out the series 1-1.
MDK, they knew the only way they would lose was through those flanks. I don't know if you caught it, guys, but at the end there, they had 5 sweepers. They did not want to be flanked, and they played around their lose conditions really well.
Fresskowy had some very clutch moments on this Vex. There are definitely moments where he was getting caught out, positions where it could have been very dire for MDK, but ultimately they find a win. They equalize the series, and they showcase what they can do. Excited to see how they can evolve in the series. Ultimately, I like their draft and what they were able to do.
I mean, Myrwn, it was just Myrwn. To me, it was the entire the thing. I think it was like 15 minutes, 2k gold lead, and it's very clear to me they're coming to a plan. They know G2 are going to blind pick Vi. We have Morgana and Vex. We know they're going to blind pick Kennen. What answers are we prepping for that? We have the Lulu, which didn't work too well, but also now, Corki.
Yeah, now that MDK have tied out the series, we're going to hear from Fnatic's Humanoid on his last time in the Olympia Hauler in München. They take on Fnatic. That's why the winner is important.
I have been Munich when I was like 10 years old or something. With my football team, we were traveling somewhere, and then we just visited the stadium on the way. I would like to see what I remember from it, because I don't really remember much. I think for me, that is the best thing about playing, actually. In the big arena, knowing that, you have 5 games, almost my whole career, it was 2 offline finals. So now it's just like the most important one at the end of the year. I think I usually think in that moment about how like crazy it is that I'm actually playing in front of so many people. I'm just trying to enjoy it as it happens and just think of it as something that I will remember forever.
Humanoid already down to 10% HP. The Carling finds its mark and the Light Slinger.
We have a pretty good chance to win. It was always closer and closer every time we played G2, so this time we will take it over the line.
Hey, Law.
Yeah?
I need a bit of help with styling since I'm new here, and I was wondering if I could show you a couple of outfits.
Yeah, sure.
Amazing, thank you so much. I'll be right back. I'm a Poro snack. Get it?
I don't know, man. No, not really.
I don't know, Law. It's hopeless.
No, it's gonna be fine. Here, let's have a break.
Even the biggest champ needs a break.
Back to the drawing board then, I guess.
Red Bull gives you wings.
Hey, shouldn't you be on stage right now?
Hey, you got a pick. Tom Kent?
What? I was not expecting this.
And a crazy off-meta pick that secured you the win. How did you come up with it?
I just listened to my gut.